But a big night tonight for a number of players from both teams. Brisbane Lions with the 1 win. Port Adelaide yet to get off the mark. And Merritt picking up Treadray. And that should be a good battle as well. Black and Chad Corns, who was a star last week. Umpires tonight, Dean Margetts, Heath Ryan and Sean Ryan.
And Luke Power want to break that tag. Surgeon's been in pretty good form. Luke Power was well held last week.
And we're underway. Brogan in the ruck, no Charman, as we mentioned in the opener. And Corns quickly to Burgoyne. And Roden takes the mark on the wing.
Needs to be well guarded, Roden. He's a line breaker.
Pokes it to Treadray. Be happy with that. An early touch. Thumps it along towards the square. Brogan getting there and almost the one grabber. Gathers his own crumb to Cassisi. Rolls it home. Took them 28 seconds.
Well, pretty clearly, the game plan is for the ruckman to get forward. Coming in without Sharman. They're up against one of the most experienced and best ruckmen in the competition, Dean Brogan. Up against Leuenberger, and there he is, Brogan. Should have grabbed that one, but very good hands. Got it out to Cassisi, and it was just charged the light brigade. Centre bounce, then charged forward. Cassisi started inside. He's up on Lappin. Brogan started inside, and they just charged forward and charged forward hard. Good start to the power.
Opening goal to Dominic Cassisi. 3 players that would normally be in the centre square for the bounce. Salopek, Pearce and Lade all starting on the bench for Port Adelaide tonight. Surgeon, Chad Corns. Umpire wants him to get it out. Coming out the back door, and Cassisi again. Umpire might have to sort this out, I think. Thankfully he will. And there is the Port Adelaide bench with those 3 players, Salopek, Lade, Pearce and Paul Stewart also on the pine to start this contest. Corns again, coming off one of his best games last week, 34 possession game, and started like a house on fire. Roden to Ebert, hoping to get part of it as well tonight. Goalless last week, sends it to Treadray. Speaking of goalless last week, Warren Treadray, Justin Westhoff and Brett Ebert all goalless last week in the showdown, and Treadray a chance to get off the mark tonight.
Well, the kick from Brett Ebert was an absolute ripper. There is nothing tougher for a defender to cope with than the kick that's coming over the top to the forward running back towards goal. It's just impossible for Daniel Merritt, given that he was being led up to the ball, to be there coming back.
Should be a formality. Warren Treadray's first of the night, 5th of the season.
Well, Lee Matthews and one of his skippers, Simon Black, have got a bit of a problem here, because Chad Corns, who's lined up on Black, has had the football on 2 occasions in the opening 2 bounces. And in the opening match of the season, they went head-to-head, Black and Kerr. Well, Daniel Kerr set them up because he got off Black, and Black just wasn't able to go with them in a defensive way. Well, right now, Simon Black has got to close down on Chad Corns.
Warren Treadray, he did kick 5 goals against the Lions here at Amy Stadium back in 2005.
Bit of a worry for Brisbane at the moment is just getting their hands on it. 10 possessions to Port Adelaide, 1 to Brisbane.
Port fans will be hoping Warren Treadray can have a night out again tonight. Leuenberger entrusted with the ruck work against Brogan. Ball falls to Corrie, gets the takeaway inside 50 for the first time tonight. The Lions, 2 power forwards, Bradshaw and Brown down there. Bradshaw to his own advantage, then 2 Brown on cue. Black, 60 from goal, centering kick straight to his man Chad Corns, who called in Brogan and he dropped the mark. Brown dives in, slaps it out, in fact throws it out.
Well, you'd like to think that he lost it in the lights, Dean Brogan, because that was a big blunder, but a great opportunity, Jared, for Adapati Carlisle, who gets the job on Jonathan Brown. He's a big brute of a fellow, so fantastic to see him getting a crack at it.
Which has left Toby Thurston's on Bradshaw, and Troy Chaplin, another tall defender, he's going to attack.
Warren Treadray gets it from Corns and hands it to Pettigrew. Warren's looking lively early. Thomas, he laid that crunching tackle on Nathan Bassett last week. To Corns, towards Boak, spilled the mark, gathers his crumb, makes amends, slips it to Treadray. Westhoff played for the free in the back, did not get it. And the boy who was on Port's rookie list, Patfull, turns it over to Boak. Numbers in the middle for Port Adelaide. Brogan holds that one.
They are just under siege at the moment, Brisbane. They haven't got a handle on things at all. Port Adelaide running riot. I know it's only early, it's only the first few minutes of the game, but if this is an indication of what's going to happen, they're in real strife, Brisbane, because Port Adelaide are just running riot.
Come out the side, guys. Mark's here.
And once again, pretty clear that Dean Brogan's been told to push forward on Leuenberger. Jared Brennan has started on the bench, so we expect that he will be the interchange for young Leuenberger. Maybe they'll have to put Jonathan Brown in there at some stage. That'll be a big risk. Right now, he's getting cold up in the forward line.
Stats say he's the best kick of all the ruckmen in the AFL, Dean Brogan, and he proves that stat correct. They've got the first three.
We said they've had trouble starting, Jared. They haven't won too many quarters of football in 2008, two in fact, and certainly none of the first or second quarters of any match this season, but that is the perfect start for Port Adelaide.
Well, Lee Matthews has got a problem now. He needs his senior players to get their hands on the footy, and as you said, there's not one player for the Lions who's had more than one possession. So if you can't get the footy, you're in trouble.
Had a career-high 10 direct knockouts to teammates for clearances last week, Dean Brogan, and that is why he's starting in the ruck and has Brendan Lade relegated to the bench at the moment. Up he flies to Chad Corns, the danger man again, and with time to Boak. Bouncing ball, gathers, backtracks, Thomas. Good smother. Mops up his own mess. Chaplin threads the handball to Peter Burgoyne. 41 possessions last week, Peter Burgoyne. Unbelievable game. Chaplin on the end of the Brogan hand pass, but left it behind. Carlisle, Pettigrew, Cassisi. They're lining up. Modlop.
Gee, it looks a mismatch very early, doesn't it? You mentioned Peter Burgoyne there at half-back.
The individuals or the teams? At the moment, it's 32 possessions to 5.
Yeah, it's like a senior side playing an underage side at the moment. Travis Johnson is starting at half-forward and he's pushing up on the square. Peter Burgoyne pays no attention to him and sits directly in front of Jonathan Brown and Daniel Bradshaw. And he'll just mop up everything all night.
You'd think you'd man up a player coming off a 41 possession career high game, as Peter Burgoyne is. Modlop. He can be iffy in front of goal, misses.
I think the biggest issue, though, is this Black versus Chad Corns issue. Chad Corns is just about the best player in the competition right now, and he needs to be stopped because he has ignited Port Adelaide in the early minutes.
Brennan with the fly. Nice hands.
That's it. That's a mark, Chad.
Jared Brennan, who started on the bench for the Lions tonight, on early. To the wing. Black and Kane Corns slap down Stiller. Nice crumb. Nowhere to go. Little chip kick is okay from Selwood to Johnston. Travis to the midfield. Danger for Leuenberger. Holds it well.
That's the kick that can open up the ground for them. Now they've got to bring it back into the corridor and open up the runners coming over to the fat side.
To McDonald, to Begley. Now the two power forwards, both down there. Bradshaw, the go-to man this time. Thurston's clever punch, thumped it through. Hard to punch with the flight of the ball, but he did brilliantly. Tough punch, that. Roden. Through the midfield. Surgeon. Sean Burgoyne. Pettigrew. Roden. Good movement. Long kick. Tough kick for Westhoff to get back onto it. Makes the ground to his own advantage. Couldn't keep his feet. Ebert sees it out.
That passage of play, as much as anything, would worry me if I was Lee Matthews. They ran that by hand, virtually from the back pocket to half forward before the kick went forward, and Brisbane didn't look like touching it.
Westhoff and Tredrea pushed Leuenberger underneath the ball.
Right now, Jared Brennan is trying to get onto Kane Corns, and Kane Corns is trying to get onto Simon Black.
And Motlop trying to get onto this Sharon. Knocks it down to Cassisi. Boak. Modlop, dangerous, spins out of 4, can't hit the target with the handball. Ebert rides the bump to Surgeon, and he can't slice them apart. Jacob Surgeon, but the scoreboard still looks healthy for Port Adelaide.
Interesting just watching the 4 players try to, I guess, get their own way. The only bloke who's winning is Chad Corns because he doesn't care. He's just going after the footy, and he's winning it particularly well with 4 possessions and a hand in a couple of goals already.
McDonald, long launch. Corn stays down, lets Johnston take the mark. Ball just held up into a breeze slightly in this opening term, the Brisbane Lions. Selwood, Black. Can't hit the target with their handballs at the moment, and Adcock sees it roll out.
44 possessions to 18. There's not a lot you can do when you're not getting the footy.
Brogan down in the black direction. Canecorn's right with him again. Salopek knocked off it, and power to Corrie. But again, the handball at his feet. Corrie good enough to make something of it. Drop punt in the Bradshaw direction again. Thurston's got a hand on it. Jonathan Brown rolls it into the behind post. He knows where they are here, Jonathan Brown. He did kick 7 goals here a couple of years ago at Amy Stadium. So Carlisle with the big job on him, as Jason mentioned. Brogan, decisive knockdown. Roden, Pettigrew, Salopek, Thurstons, Chaplin. Couple of options down the middle. Thurstons through traffic, messing with it a little. Salopek, handball back. They're good enough to get out of it. Pettigrew, Thurstons, Roden uses his pace. Salopek again. Boak half smothered the handball. Pearce. Leuenberger with him. Brilliantly, Leuenberger to Patfull. Now the Lions on the rebound. Good. Long kick to Johnston, and he can go. Forced to hold up. In fact, he takes on and is beaten by Cassisi.
Well, if Lee Matthews could restart this game, I'm sure he'd like to, because they are just not applying anywhere near the pressure required at this level at the moment.
Although that last time, Jared, when they ran it out of defence, Port Adelaide, was a much better effort to at least create some sort of turnover pressure.
Ebert thrown away from it after not quite holding the mark, and this could be a turning point for his year. Haven't had a great time of it so far, and he goes short. Chad Corns.
Justin Sherman on. Important for him. He's been down. He's back in the team last week. Made a couple of blues early. Got a goal late in the game. He's interchanged with Travis Johnson. Got to get out there and run his guts out.
That's your limit. No more. I know you've come in.
Mentioned his 34th possession game last week, Chad Corns, but 2 goals as well. Nice off the boot. Dream start, Port Adelaide.
It's been a fantastic start to Port. They've bounced back. The good players are in sync at the present time. We just saw Sean Burgoyne getting a kick forward. Pretty sloppy free kick for mine, that one. And Ebert just sets up Chad Corns, who's pushed down the ground. And he's exposed a lack of accountability there by Jared Brennan. It was a hard one to stop, of course. It was out in front. It was perfect football. A good start.
4-0 start. Chad Corns and Jonathan Brown side by side at the moment. Jonathan Brown into the middle for this bounce. They need their best players where the ball is. Roden steals it. Slick.
Field day early, Roden.
Cassisi, Chad Corns. So casual. He chips the ball wide. Almost Stewart, but he gathers the crumb. Takes on and can't quite beat McDonald, who forced the handball out of play. Rowan Smith.
Well, probably the only positive for Brisbane at the moment is the job that Troy Selwood did on Sean Burgoyne. He came to the bench. He's just gone back on. He's probably going to go forward. He's been a goal kicker the last couple of weeks.
Leuenberger and Brogan. Canecorn's push. No free. Lappin got it out. Cassisi. Little push from Jonathan Brown. Still under him. Roden again. Stewart. Well played, Hooper. Got a touch on it. Stopped Port Adelaide from going into attack. Lappin to make something of it. Caught. Turnover. Cassisi. Pearce. Brogan. Canecorns. Trouble. Ball gone.
Better pressure. Lee Matthews would be thrilled with that. Maybe the light switch has gone off. Or gone on, hopefully.
Nigel Lappin, who might play his 300th game later this year. If they make the finals, the Lions. Corrie.
Good kick.
Nice kick, and Bradshaw gobbles it up.
Well, that just was almost deja vu for you, I reckon, Jason. That was one of your hallmark leads up to the fat side and right out in the chest.
A terrific kick just out in space. Let the player run onto it rather than sitting it up where he's got to fight with his opponent. He'll beat Thurstons for speed, Bradshaw.
Daniel Bradshaw also knows where the goals are here. Has a 6-goal game to his name at AAMI Stadium and makes no mistake. Hallelujah. Lions are on the board.
Well, massive understatement to say it was a crucial goal for Brisbane. I've just been so impressed with Daniel Bradshaw this year. He is one of the best recruits in the competition, given that he missed last year with a knee injury. He's come back in great fashion, kicked 5 last week and looked tremendous. And he just looks a fantastic physical specimen. Doesn't look to have lost any pace with the knee injury. And if he can get on the end of kicks like that, he'll take a lot of pressure off Jonathan Brown as well.
Yeah, good kick. Into a bit of a breeze.
12th goal of the season for Daniel Bradshaw. As Jason mentioned, missed all of last year with that knee injury, but has won the Brisbane Lions goal kicking a couple of years, 05 and 06, and they need him firing this year. Roden again with the takeaway, missed the target with the handball though, and it rolls to Chad Corns, to Kane Corns, to 50, high bomb, floating in the breeze, it's there, instant reply.
The big problem that Brisbane have in the middle of the ground at the moment is that Troy Selwood has the job on Chad Corns. But the problem is Chad Corns is going to Jonathan Brown when he's in the middle. So Selwood is still going to Chad Corns, which makes a 2-on-1. Guess who it's leaving free? David Roden. And he's got about 3 clearances already. He's had half a dozen possessions. He's had 8 possessions. He's on fire. They've got a man up.
Kane Corns still with Simon Black. Kane Corns said a couple of years ago that his most respected opponent in the AFL is Simon Black because he makes him lift his level. And Kane Corns has had good form against Simon Black in the last 4 or 5 years. Peter Burgoyne to Roden, the man you spoke of, Jason. He is carving them to pieces. Kick not so good. McDonald. Tough for Notting. Really going to have to motor the toe poke.
Good option.
Perfect. Kept his feet, ran onto it, and hits Sherman with a powerful pass. Sherman, another one of the Brisbane Lions that started on the bench.
Square it up. Square it up.
Just a high bomb. Tough one for Jonathan Brown to even get near, and laid fresh off the bench. Takes the mark.
It's okay to kick long down the line to a contest if there's nothing else there, but not when you're outnumbered about 6-3 like Brisbane were. Then he had to square it up and just keep possession.
Pearce, Thurstons, Carlisle, and now Peter Burgoyne down the midfield. Leeds come from inside 50. Ebert's short. That's in the direction that it's going. Dumped away from him. It was always a tough one to mark. Leuenberger, Patfull, Colm Begley out of trouble. Maybe temporary. Carlisle with him is Mills. Mills into the team. Late inclusion for the Lions with Jamie Charman out and deliberate out of play.
That's a good call. He didn't do anything other than just try to get it across the line. Lions have lifted their intensity to a degree, Jason, but there's a way to go.
Black gets a touch back on Kane Corns.
I guess the thing in their favour is that they are kicking into a bit of a breeze, but it seems to be dying as the night goes on.
Third possession for, if he gets rid of it, Simon Black, as opposed to Kane Corns' 6 so far. Nice hands. Good mark at half forward for Riscatelli. Plays on and sends the long bomb. 2-on-1. Bradshaw's the one. Thumped away from him. Now Sherman likes a goal if he can get near them. Bradshaw, Mills, not a big goal kicker, mainly plays in defence and knows it. Knew his limitations. Sherman to full forward, off hands, Corrie the goal. Brilliant goal by Anthony Corrie.
Made a goal out of nothing there, Gerard. What Brisbane have to do, even though they've been completely dominated in this first quarter, 67 disposals to 25.
And 5 centre clearance to 1.
If they can just reduce the damage on the scoreboard and stay within 3 goals. Sherman, good to see him getting involved a couple of times. If they can just stay within 3 or 4 goals, it is a slight breeze they're kicking into. They'll feel like they've got out of jail.
Well, I think it's good to see Justin Sherman on the board early in the piece. Needs a few positives. Good goal, Corrie.
Still has potential star written all over him, Anthony Corrie.
And I know he's down, Dwayne, but I think that Justin Sherman has too. He's back, I think, where he's most comfortable, and that's close to goal, where he can inspire his group. And I think he gets inspired himself when he can kick a goal.
Kane Corns again, tried to slip the handball out, couldn't. Thomas rolls in. The ball is extracted from Simon Black's hands, but straight to Chaplin and to Simon Black's man, Kane Corns, to Peter Burgoyne. Thought about going all the way, goes to Chad Corns, resting up forward, if you can call what he's doing resting, that is. From 50, sends it long and wide. Out of play. Dean Brogan getting some work done on the bench again, and David Roden having a rest and preparing to come back on. Laid in the ruck against Leuenberger. Travis Johnston, clearing kick. Simon Black to his own advantage, bumped by Peter Burgoyne. Sweeps it back, but straight to Black. Rolls it along the boundary line to Roden, just on, and the ball forced out by Lappin.
Be interested in your thoughts on this, Jason. When you talk about the best player in the game, two names always get mentioned. One's here tonight, Jonathan Brown. The other one, of course, is Chris Judd. But I reckon over the last 2 to 3 years, you've probably got Daniel Kerr up there with those two for his consistency. And I reckon Chad Corns is also right up there in their company.
He has to be. And the thing that he's got going for him is that whereas Judd and Kerr are midfielders, Chad Corns is also a midfielder, but he can play key position if you need him to.
Yep.
Chad Corns, by the way, speaking of that debate, was picked 9 in that 1997 draft where Travis Johnston was picked 1. And if you had that draft again, you'd have Chad Corns, Adam Goods, Simon Black and Matthew Scarlett to choose from as well as your #1 player from that draft. It's a fair draft, that. Pettigrew chips the kick in the Treadray direction. Over his head, McDonald takes the mark. Selwood. You heard the umpire's call. He didn't go far.
They're hot on that this year, the umpires. If you blink, you're in trouble.
I don't think he deliberately went round. He was just trying to get back from the mark.
Johnston.
Push the numbers back here, Brisbane. They're in holding pattern. It's worked for a couple of goals for them, right?
And that was Lockie Henderson kicking wide. And free kick. Arm slap from Daniel Pearce. And Briscatelli to take the free. Here's the slap.
Right now, Sherman has gone on to Peter Burgoyne. It's a good matchup because he's been playing defensively for about a year, trying to get his form well back, so he's had a fair bit of training in that department, but he's still got that instinctiveness to kick goals, and the way to beat Peter Burgoyne is to make him accountable.
Easier said than done.
Yep.
Towards half forward, nodding with the crumb. 60 from goal. Tries to bend it back, but cannot.
He had Daniel Bradshaw pushing back into space, and just a measured left foot kick would have been another goal to Brisbane there. Unfortunately, didn't see him. Tim nodding.
There they are, Sherman and Burgoyne.
Good challenge for him. I think actually in hindsight, looking at the replay, he was trying just to screw it around the corner to Bradshaw, but caught it mid-ball.
Laid to Roden, and well done by Corns. He called Chaplin in, said you're safe. Chaplin took the mark and passes to Pearce. Port Adelaide away. Centering kick. Boak. Thomas. No one to go to by foot. Roden has to motor. Gets there. Pokes the pass. Perfect. Salopek.
Really good decision there by Thomas. He could have just instinctively offloaded it to his teammate going through, but he would have been buried by 4 Lions players. He held onto it. Here it is. He dummies back because Nigel Lappin was about to steal it. And whilst the handball wasn't his best, it set Roden up to deliver.
There's the game of David Roden at the moment. 12 possessions.
And I reckon most of them have been forward of the centre.
Even Salopek for his first goal of 2008. Still can't slide one through. 3 behinds so far this year.
He would have taken 2, possibly 3 centre clearances. And he has hit that ball inside the forward 50 a number of times.
Simon Black with 5 leads the possessions for Brisbane. Great to see him at least starting to get a few touches now. But as I mentioned, Roden with 12, Chad Corns 8, Pettigrew, Burgoyne 7. They've got a host of players getting a lot of it.
Power to Adcock. Pettigrew gets back. One of the men you mentioned, Thomas. Pettigrew thrown out of it. Stewart into trouble, but quickly out of trouble. Sean Burgoyne down to halfback. He's got Boak. Hits him with the pass. Couple of options short. Pearce is one of them. Tough one. Good punch, Colin Begley. Dumps it out of play. On Begley, who didn't know whether to come to Australia to play or not. And Ty Kennelly, fellow Irishman, spoke to him and more importantly to his father and said, you better get over there. Make your name in one of the greatest games of the world, and he decided to join the Lions, and he's been a good pickup. power to Adcock.
He's lifted power in this last 5 minutes, as has Black, as you pointed out.
Sherman, the man I was speaking of, Colin Beckley, who sends it inside 50 in the Bradshaw direction. Jonathan Brown lurking back of the pack. Hits the post. Quick kick in.
You saw on that occasion a long kick in wasn't supported by any crummers because Brisbane has, I guess, drawn the line in the sand in this quarter by pushing numbers behind the footy.
Not sure what Chaplin was trying to do, go between the legs of Hooper.
That's a head-high tackle.
Not paid. Boak, Salopek and Surgeon. Took a step sideways, or as Gerard said, look sideways. It's enough now. Thurston's, he's given it straight to Corey. He can send this the whole way. Chased down by Thurston's. Tries to mop up his own mess. The tackle was good. Stewart. They get away with it.
Wasn't comfortable kicking
on the left foot. That was the problem for Anthony Corey, Gerard. No confidence.
Surgeon, Cassisi, Carlisle, Thomas.
This bloke can play.
Alapate sends it wide to Ebert. Play on. Chad Corns. He's got Westhoff peeling back to the square. It's a one-on-one. Westhoff, he's punched. Knocked down, and it's rolled through. It would have been a goal, but it's hit the goal umpire. What will he pay? This will be interesting. Big decision here.
No. I don't think he can pay that from this distance. We're a long way away. We'll have the benefit of hindsight of the close-up replay. It
should have been a free kick anyway here.
No doubt it was a free kick to the youngster.
Joel McDonald just took him out, but as we have a look there,
it is hit him
boy,
fair and square.
Would that have hit the goalpost? Oh, that would have hit the goalpost. You can't pay a goal. No, you cannot pay a goal.
It's hit the post.
Dwayno, Brisbane have been robbed. Robbed.
No doubt whatsoever. Chad Corns gets the goal. It's his second, but
that was
perhaps watching the last game umpired by this gentleman for a little while.
It bounces sideways, and that has not crossed the line at any stage. Would have hit the front of the post, not the back of the post.
He's lucky it wasn't a cricket ball.
Boy, let's hope there's more than a kick in it at the end of the night.
Otherwise, we know who will be getting the kick. From the ball up. Lappin going nowhere. In fact, tossed to the ground. Ball up.
Couldn't have come at a worse time for Brisbane either. They're desperately struggling, trying to stay in touch with Port, and the last thing they need is a decision that just gifts Port Adelaide a goal.
Yeah, but the reality was it was Justin Westhoff's free kick. That was a poor decision as well, him not being paid it. So
that's the square up.
Square up.
Black with two possessions. One was smothered, the other to Lappin. Magnificent tackle. Stephen Salopek.
He's had a good game so far, Salopek. Quality player, just needs to ignite his season.
Spears it in the Ebert direction. Thumped away from him by Patfull. Boak slipped over it now. Caught, tunnels it out. Black thumps it out in the power direction. Got the kick for too high. The knee from Justin Westhoff. And there's the maybe reversal.
Good decision from him.
Luke Power in game 199.
He could have been full of histrionics in the umpire and paid a free kick, but it wasn't worth it. Wasn't there.
And the Lions need to cut a break or two. Carlisle, as you said, Gerard, he's a rising star, 20 years old. He's still got a big future ahead of him. The boy they call Bob because they can't pronounce Alapate. And one of two Fijian players in this lineup. David Roden the other, of course. Wide ball and good thump by Merritt, which is his forte. We'll get a ball in. 40 seconds left on the clock.
Well, I think the good news for this contest is that Brisbane have found a taste for the contest. And whilst they've got a lot of work to do, certainly not out of it. But they don't want to concede another goal in this last 30 seconds.
Boak to Stewart. Cut off. And Jared Brennan's kick a torpedo off the side of the boot. And Carlisle and Brown see it out. Time enough for either team to score from this clearance.
You reckon they're well served. Troy Chaplin just keeps on impressing with his running ability. He's quick as well, and Adapati Carlisle gives them a couple of key defenders to build a defensive unit around.
Sean Burgoyne to Paul Stewart, who rolls it nicely to Thomas. Clever underground handball to Motlop. Chip kick, wide kick, too wide. Lade can't get there. And out of play on the full. Lions simply need to not turn it over from this kick. And we'll have quarter time. They don't turn it over.
Daniel, hold there, no closer. No closer.
25-point margin at quarter time here at Amy Stadium. Port Adelaide still yet to win a game in 2008, coming off a much improved performance last week in the showdown, even though they lost. And they've started with a 6-goal opening term, 6-3-39, Brisbane Lions, 2-2-14. Brendan Lade again on the bench with Daniel Pearce as they started the opening term. Port Adelaide centre square starting for Brogan, Cassisi, Kane Corns and Chad Corns up against Leuenberger, Adcock, Black and Power. Underway in the second term. Cassisi, another clearance around the body in the Sean Burgoyne direction. Well played McDonald, edged him out, gathered. Begley takes on Sean Burgoyne and wins. Power, McDonald, Adcock. Good movement from the Lions to open this term. Long kick in the Bradshaw direction. He's got it on 50.
It's only happened a couple of times tonight, but if they can find a little bit of space to kick into, Daniel Bradshaw is getting further and further in front of Toby Thurston's on the lead the further it went. They've got to exploit this matchup.
Already kicked one tonight, Daniel Bradshaw. Nice off the boot, but it drifts. Only a behind.
Well, coming through the middle was Jed Adcock, who's one of their most skilled and best performed midfielders in recent times, and yet he's only had just 3 possessions now. He needs to lift and find the footy.
Peter Burgoyne to Pettigrew. A look-away kick, almost to Thurston's, knocks it to his own advantage. Selwood.
Now, Troy Selwood, he's the man on David Roden as we speak. They both started outside of the square, and as you can see, he's been given the role. Get inside his jumper, stop him running forward.
2 biggest possession winners. We see a free kick off the ball here.
Chad told to go away. Free kick, of course, to his brother Kane, and he just wanted to let everybody know Big Brother's around, as if he was needed. Boak. Kane can look after himself. Surgeon. Nicely, but not so nicely with the hand. McDonald read that magnificently. Sends a long high ball, but it's Thurston's ball because Bradshaw is peeling back to the square.
The 2 big possession getters at the moment for Brisbane are Luke Power and, in fact, Joel McDonald's just gone past Simon Blake. But I was about to say, Power and Blake have had a bit of the ball, but you wouldn't know they're out there, Jerry.
Well, they haven't had as many effective disposals as you'd like. It's breaking down, but right now McDonald...
Oh, what about that for a tackle? Sorry, guys.
Well, McDonald's lined up on Sean Burgoyne and he's attacking really well off that half-back line. He'll be Brisbane's best player at the moment, and you're right, that's a great tackle. He's pinned that arm. Could almost be a chicken wing tackle, Dwayne.
Well, kids at home should get a video of that. That is the perfect tackle. Pettigrew to Westhoff, who needs something to get his form going this year, and that tackle might do it. Boak held up, but a couple of options wide. Chad Corns runs into trouble. A Hooper. Tripp gets it back. Crowd want him to go to Cassisi. He does. Dominic was one of those options wide that was initially ignored. All the way back to Carlisle. Pettigrew. And now maybe the long bomb forward. Pettigrew hands it off. Surgeon. Chip kick in the Ebert direction. Left it behind. Begley. Handballed it to his own advantage and Adcock. But Jonathan Brown a long way down in defence. Begley again. Pursued by Chaplin. Edged out of it. Troy Chaplin gathers. And with poise. He's a target hitter with his kicks normally. Can't hit Westhoff this time. He toes it inside 50. Leuenberger filling the hole in defence. Power. Trouble. Brogan. Palm down. Roden. He's best on ground. David Roden is a genius.
Well, it was just great forward pressure from Port Adelaide. Brisbane had the ball clear a couple of times, and yet they weren't able to penetrate the forward pressure. It was Luke Power, I think, who had the ball stripped from him. There's a nice little toe poke from Westhoff here. They're away, but Power had nowhere to go. Good pressure. Nice tap from the big boy Brogan. And there is a man that Richmond would love to have lining up for them at Fremantle next tomorrow night on Twilight Footy.
Well, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but when Richmond dumped David Roden, Greg Miller said he didn't think David Roden was going to be part of Richmond's next premiership team. He might be part of Port Adelaide's next premiership team. Brogan, Kane Corns, Chaplin.
I had to bite my tongue not to say something then.
Motlop's hand superb. Plays on. Wobbles it inside 50. Ebert clean ball by Thomas has gone down behind play. Appears to have rolled an ankle. Ebert caught. And that sums up his season so far.
Yeah, he was running into space, Thomas, and he's just gone down.
It may be an Achilles.
Something went.
Yeah,
he can't move.
Got a bad feeling. It may be an Achilles.
Sherman to Jonathan Brown. Plays on. Surely a goal coming up here. It's all about the bounce. Bradshaw had to wait. Spins around and misses to the near side.
Well, that just about sums up their night. That was a gimme, a certain gimme, as long as the ball bounced to the handball, hit the target. But this is a more important story because I reckon this kid is developing at a rapid rate of knots. We all saw his tackling last week. It was the big talking point, but what was lost was just how many tackles he laid. I think it was he's laid 17 for the season.
And tackle of the year last week on Nathan Bassett, and hopefully he'll be okay, Matt Thomas. Keep an eye on that. Rowan Smith is on the boundary. In the meantime, Stephen Salopek has the game in his hands. Short to Motlop.
And the other thing that's developing, I think, and we saw it tonight a couple of times, the decision making. Under pressure. Oh no, he's going to the bottom. It's the spring ligament which holds up the arch of your foot.
Oh, goose step.
Lovely to see it. Motlop's kick not as good as the step. Might get it back. Tredray's handball missed Cassisi, who holds it in and will get a ball up. 45 plays 16.
It's not the margin so much as it is the state of play and the nature of the game that is the most damning thing for Brisbane at the moment. There's the little goose step, the change of pace. They're not out of the game on the scoreboard, Brisbane, but it's just hard to see where they're going to pick up the slack at the moment.
Leuenberger thought he had it, but it's McDonald's ball. Short, Merritt. Held up by Warren Tredrea. And now sends a long bomb in the Selwood direction, and he loses his feet and knocks it to Roden. Worst of all possible options. Ebert. He's got Motlop sprinting for him. Tough ball to grab. Motlop, Patfull, Motlop. Can't manufacture something this time, Daniel Motlop, and will toss it to the boundary umpire. He was best on ground, Daniel Motlop, last time these two teams met, which was only once last year, and it was at the Gabba. And Daniel Motlop kicked 6 goals and received the 3 Brownlow votes. Black
got to start
into the midfield.
Some targets, so Brisbane, they're winning the ball better, but just giving it back.
Carlisle thumps it. Race on. Tredrea will get there. Didn't get there first. Well played by Lockie Henderson. Caught. Handballed up. Power. Dangerous handball to McDonald, who shrugs the tackle. Riscatelli. Got a couple of options to go to. Corrie can go all the way again here. Looks up, wants to pass off again. It's Jonathan Brown. Perfect.
There's the first couple of times they've actually managed to pinpoint passes. I was about to say the same thing, Jared. The thing that's doing the most damage to Brisbane at the moment, forget David Roden and how well Port are playing, is when they do have an opportunity, Brisbane, they're shooting themselves in the foot with poor skill areas. And some of them are coming from the likes of Brown and Black and Power, the star players, just missing a kick or a handball here and then getting a bad bounce, which causes the turnover.
5th possession for Jonathan Brown for his first goal of the night, and he misses. He's got up and down form against Port Adelaide. Jonathan Brown, mentioned earlier, 7 goals here back in 2006, but goalless in that 2004 grand final victory by Port Adelaide. Chip kick to Surgeon.
Again, that's it's an elementary skill error. 2 goals, 5. If they kick 5-2, you're only a couple of kicks out of the game. It makes such a difference.
Much better pressure, though, from Brisbane. They are just on the verge of getting themselves back in.
Selwood, Black, Selwood. About to get caught by Pearce. Dragged him down, holding the ball. Port Adelaide peel off here. And look out, it's David Roden time.
Who's on him, Jared?
Takes them on. Little step back in the midfield. Caught by Hooper. Handball off. Cassisi, Pearce wants to come back into the corridor. Wide to Chaplin. And now Treadray from the square. Merritt with a fist. Leuenberger takes on Treadray. Handball to Selwood. Lions staying in it. Riscatelli.
He is exciting, Matthew Leuenberger. Terrific defensive work there to push back and help out.
Brennan.
Back 2 metres, Dean. Play on, you
Garrett Brennan took the step around.
Well, right now, Jason, David Roden is 40 metres
on his own.
Chaplin, Peter Burgoyne.
I think his man's in defence somewhere.
Westhoff.
It's like a rugby union match at the moment.
Nice hands from Westhoff. Hands off to Pearce. No one to go to up forward. There's not a Port Adelaide player inside 50. Boak. Westhoff. He can shoot. Lays down. Gets out of the tackle. No one to go to. Forced to go back, and Colin Beckley mops it up.
Just a big zone at one end at the moment. Brisbane have got about 12 players in defence. And Port Adelaide are basically spending most of their time trying to penetrate it.
Lappin to Patfull to Sherman. Back to Lappin. Back to Patfull. Back to where they've got the numbers, as Gerard said, in defence. McDonald. Colin Begley. Now they're getting some players up. Power. Short. Wade Mills.
This is the important kick. You can't play on until there's somebody up forward that you can give it to.
Power. Hands it off. Stiller.
Otherwise that happens.
Pressurised handball again from Riscatelli. Back to Stiller. Port Adelaide getting numbers around the contest now. Can't hold it up. They do now. Ball up.
Gee, the opportunities are going to waste for Brisbane. They had numbers all over the place there. They had 5 on 2, and just a couple of slick hand passes were needed to release a player into space, and he runs into an open goal.
Jamie Charman and late exclusion for the Brisbane Lions, forcing Patfull and also Mills to do a bit of ruck work, and this time Mills does it, hands it off. Black.
Brilliant.
To Brown.
Great kick. I reckon if you're a forward, Simon Black's the #1 person you want the ball in his hands.
Jonathan Brown.
His disposal inside 50 is flawless.
Jonathan Brown about to line up. Rowan Smith.
Just an injury update on Matt Thomas, Dwayne. He's just gone down to the rooms. They look like they were icing the bottom of his left foot, so Gerard might know more about that one.
Understatement to say they need this from Jonathan Brown. He's edged it through.
Well, the Lions needed it. Jonathan Brown needed it. The game needed it. So it was a win all round unless you're barracking for Port Adelaide. But this bloke just picks up the right option and generally pinpoints it right on the chest. Now, just getting back to young Matt Thomas. We saw him running just in a straight line, Jason, and he felt for the bottom of his foot. There's a ligament at the bottom of your foot that holds up the arch or supports the arch, and I suspect he's strained that one. Can't imagine he'll come back.
First goal of the night for Jonathan Brown. And the ball up. Brogan to Roden. Who's his go-to man at the moment, and he's too slick for them, and the pass superb. A poke forward by Boak to Brogan. Peeled off after the ruck work well.
Leuenberger getting back.
Sean Burgoyne. Stewart. Cassisi tries to bend it around. It doesn't score. In fact, it stays in play.
Hit the
and
post.
Patfull forced to take it out. Goal umpire equal to it this time.
Actually came off a hand into the post, which is why it hasn't been called out before.
Corn's doing the ruck work now. Tries to gather his own crumb. Patfull, Johnston, hemmed in. Kick half smothered. Westhoff. Daniel Pearce forced to go back to try and find a target. Corrie. Nice hands to Riscatelli.
He's lifted Riscatelli. He's had a good quarter.
Notting. That's not so good. Hands it straight to Stewart, who hands it back to Notting.
Good second effort.
Gets a Shepherd. Passes to Jonathan Brown. Maybe within range. 60 from goal. Goes long in the Bradshaw and Notting direction. Bradshaw.
Well, again, I know we've harped on it. If they can just hit a few more targets, Brisbane, every time they go forward, Daniel Bradshaw only needs a little bit of time to lead on Toby Thurston's, and he's in space. He went both ways then. Brown, the kick wasn't even perfect. It sat up a little bit, but he's got that much clearance on the lead. This is a real win matchup for Brisbane.
Geez, that was a great lead for a bloke who's had a knee injury.
Daniel Bradshaw has hit the post.
They could be right in this game. I mean, if they just lift 10%, if they can improve their skills 10%, Brisbane are in this game.
1 goal free now for Daniel Bradshaw. Chaplin. Roden. Oh, he's forced to wait under that. Selwood takes off. Kick smothered by Kane Corns. Back to Roden. Chip kick perfect from Roden. Marked by Pearce. David Roden, 18 possessions now. Handoff from Pearce to Kane Corns. 18 possessions, and we're only 14 minutes into this second term.
Yeah, it was a push in the back to Kane Corns. And it was as he kicked it, so that's why it won't be paid down to your brother Kane.
Centering ball from Kane Corns. Jacob Surgeon. Peter Burgoyne just off the bench as well, waiting for it if Carlisle wants to give it to him. He spears the pass, his fellow backman Chaplin. Motlop's on the lead. In front. Got it. Too far out to score unless he goose steps. He pokes it to Treadray, who's within range.
It's a different Warren Treadray in 2008 than it was last year. He looks a lot more mobile, a lot more agile, and he's certainly got a yard of speed back. Looks a lot better the way he's moving.
And on the boundary line, Smithy, you've been following the midfield matchup. Selwood, is he the one going on to David Roden?
Yeah, Jared, I've been listening to you, trying to find out who's on David Roden, and it is Troy Selwood at the moment. So he's got to obviously tighten up a little bit.
Kickable here. Treadray starts it right, and it's all wrong. They're behind. Breeze has dropped. Dean Brogan having a rest. 46-24. 16 minutes into this second term. Begley receives the kick in. But they're almost committed to a side now. Power and wanting to open it up, but Port Adelaide zone holds steady. Selwood. Port Adelaide players not manning a player, manning space, as you can see. And now the kick wide. Patfull and Westhoff dumps it out of play. The zone worked for Port Adelaide.
I think that's where Brisbane just lack a little bit of hard running, just not enough options pushing into space so that they don't have to kick to a contest.
Free kick to Peter Burgoyne.
That's your back run. Stay there, stay there.
Lions flooding players back. Almost 15 or 16 of them now inside defensive 50, and that's why he didn't want to load up with a long kick and hope. Stewart, they'll try and set up a short pass.
Good pressure.
Good pressure. Sherman brings down Lade. Umpire said no prior opportunity from Brendan Lade.
Well, at the end of the day, Lee Matthews was forced into playing this super zone defence because they were getting killed, as we saw in the first quarter. So to bring themselves back into it, they've had to go a team defence.
Yeah, to their credit, they've turned it into a scrap. They've got themselves inside of 4 goals, and if they could just hit a target when they're kicking for goal,
good shepherd.
They're right in this.
Blacklap and Power and Notting combined. The usual suspects when Brisbane going well to Jonathan Brown.
Sherman.
And Sherman gets into space, has the shot from a very tough angle, and Chad Corns doesn't just smother it, he cuts it off to Sean Burgoyne, to Chad Corns. Dangerous kick. Boak made it look perfect. Surgeon. He's got Ebert wide, and he turns it over. Lockie Henderson. Pick 8 in last year's draft, Lockie Henderson. Playing game number 3.
Another very promising youngster. He's got good size. He's got a good tank.
And that's not such a good kick.
Not a good kick.
Pearce cuts it off. Peter Burgoyne, Treadray, David Roden. You wouldn't read about it, would you? He's a star.
He is one of the great footy stories, Brian. He's a colourful character. He's a bubbly character, an enthusiast. He'd be great in a footy team when he's playing well. And that's exactly what he is doing. Peter Burgoyne just having a stroll through the middle of the ground. His brother pushed up the back. And he's having one of his finest games as Troy Selwood just wanders in behind him.
He injured his knee in a game at Morwell. It was Terry Wallace's second game in charge of Richmond, David Roden, and he was best on ground before he injured the knee. And even though the game was in a country town, Port Adelaide just happened to have their chief recruiter there.
I don't know how long Lee Matthews can leave Troy Selwood there. He's either got to stick with him and tag him, a cold tag, take him out of the game, or they've got to change the matchup because Selwood's not getting it.
To be fair to Selwood, though, he has sacrificed his personal matchup. How far?
Too far.
Too far.
You can just take it away if you like, Jared. You're reading it well.
He has gone to put pressure on other players and has exposed himself. I mean, he's putting in a pretty honest effort, I think, Troy, but he's getting...
And he always does, but I think at some stage you've got to say a bloke now that's had 19 possessions and kicked 2 goals, and we're not even at half-time, needs a little closer attention regardless of what else is going on around him.
Greg Miller has run through. He would like to see timed up on.
Laid to Pearce to Salopek. Got a kick to Roden. Possession number 20 for David Roden, and the cold hero gives it to Brogan, who's got the overlap. Paul Stewart, who can go the journey. Pokes it in the Warren Treadray direction, forced to punch. No mark paid to Lockie Henderson. That was stiff. Hooper throws it out. Still trying to keep it in, even though they're making out. They're trying to get it out. And Daniel Pearce dragged down.
Jason, does the scoreboard reflect the match as we have a look at what could have been a free kick?
Look, they're probably lucky to be this close, Brisbane, given the nature of the game. But having said that, they've had opportunities to be closer, if that makes sense. So I still think Brisbane can turn it around if they can just find a lift in terms of hitting a few targets, and in particular their experienced players, and a couple more sensible decisions. They can come back and be very competitive against Port.
Carlisle's bump was untidy on Jonathan Brown, wasn't attempting to go at the ball.
I don't know if they can come back while David Roden still runs around getting 20 touches a half and kicking a swag in.
Now's their chance, because Smithy, you can tell us he's just been benched.
Yeah, he's just come off. He's had 20 possessions and he's just come off for a well-earned rest.
There he is, David Roden, who only took up playing AFL. He played rugby and AFL as a 16-year-old representing Victoria. Only took up AFL because there was no rugby team in Broadmeadows. David Roden. Brown, Merritt, Simon Black, Joel Patfull.
And as this happens, the zone is now set for Port Adelaide.
Brennan, wide ball, Riscatelli. Tough one to run on to. Well played, Paul Stewart. Got there, made the contest. Sean Burgoyne runs the line to his own advantage, and it rolls out. Ball in, 52, plays 24.
Wasn't a bad option from Jared Brennan. He looked for the longer ball, which was to Riscatelli. Great courage from young Stewart coming through, but again, it's just a missed target. It creates the turnover.
And the ball in, 3 minutes from half-time. Chad Corns turns it over to Corrie. Slips the kick in the Mills direction. And he's not usually a kicker, Wade Mills. He's a handballer.
Maybe this can turn things around and he can thread the needle from the boundary and kick one that perhaps he's not expected to.
That's it now, Mark's here. Stay there, no closer.
Late inclusion with Jamie Charman out, and he has kicked a gem.
Did you see
in the shadows of half-time?
I'm not sure what type of kick you call that, Jared, but
yes,
very effective
exactly
one.
What type of kick it was.
This mongrel tumble punt, wasn't it? But look, that's what they needed. They needed reward for some of their efforts, because it's been frustrating to watch Brisbane in the first half. They've had opportunities, but they've just shot themselves in the foot continually by missing the odd target. Have a look at the way this ball spins. Oh, that's going end over end the wrong way in the end. But a great result for Wade Mills.
It's how, not how many.
First goal in AFL football for Wade Mills in unorthodox style.
And the beauty of this at the moment is that as much as Port Adelaide have looked like they were going to blow them off the field a couple of times, I think they've just kept themselves in, as you said, Jason.
Now you're holding number 10's jumper here.
Brennan was in the ruck against Lade. Free kick to... Well, there's no number 10 for the Brisbane Lions, and the Lions players thought it was their free.
It's this way.
It is this one.
There's Matt Thomas.
Yours, you're being held off the foot. It's your footy.
Now Travis Boak's free. In the meantime,
Travis' kick,
what did you call that part of the foot, Jared?
Well, a plantar fascia, or a little ligament that supports the arch of your foot, is
Laid.
pretty sure he would have strained.
It's never a good sign when you've got the tracksuit pants and runners on.
It's been a long time since those physio days, Dwayne, but I reckon he's going to struggle to be fit for a couple of weeks.
Kicked quite a few goals in his 199-game career now, Brendan Lade. Kicked 158 of them. Relatively accurate kick.
Well,
2 goals, 3 this year.
As a ruckman, he's the best forward ruckman I reckon I've seen for 15 years.
Gives it a ride. It drifts in the breeze. And Westhoff! Been a while since we've seen that from Justin Westhoff. And Dean Brogan knows it.
Simon Madden was a genius going forward. In fact, he could have played full forward as a career if he wasn't such a good ruckman. And I reckon Brendan Lade could almost have played as full forward alone.
See what the problem with that was? Jared, I'll talk after the kick.
Westhoff gets the goal that could get him back.
You always get disappointed from a defensive perspective when a mark's taken down around the goal line. Where was Brisbane's ruckman? At the time, it was Jared Brennan. Where was Jared Brennan? Standing the mark. He can't stand the mark. He's got to call someone else down, and Jared Brennan has to go down there. You've got Dean Brogan down there. He's matched up against young Henderson, is it?
Wasn't good.
Held goalless in the showdown last week, Justin Westhoff. Just his second goal of the season. His first goal of the night. From the ball up. Secondary knockdown. And Salopek's found Kasisi, but tackled strongly. Ball up. 2 minutes from half-time.
Well, that's the sort of tackle you look for from Riscatelli. That was a beauty. Just picked him up and turfed him.
From the ball up, Brogan. Down, Boak. Having a good afternoon at the office. Travis Boak can't get the handle away decisively.
Michael Riscatelli.
Okay, you heard. Riscatelli's free.
Michael, right here. Come out, Daniel. Stay there now.
Held up. Port Adelaide getting numbers back. Hooper forced to work with that.
Not who it was intended for either.
And that kick a little untidy, but Adcock makes it look okay.
Come out, Dominic. Play on.
Sends it long in the Bradshaw direction. Can't get a fly at it. Well played by Salopek. Body on the line. Forced to spoil. Peter Burgoyne to Sean Burgoyne.
Well, Salopek is a midfielder. He's about a 6'2.5" midfielder, so he's a big body jumping into Jonathan Brown.
Stewart, Peter Burgoyne, now Kasisi, Pearce, Kasisi. Nice movement in the model-up direction. Uses his body and his hands unbelievably. Short, and the man who virtually started it all with his spoil, Stephen Salopek, to Chad Corns, who started it all game-wise. His first 10 minutes superb.
Probably highlights the difference between the two sides as well. That little chain of foot passes from Port Adelaide. They just pinpointed one lead up after another and didn't miss a beat.
Not 15, which may play to Port's favour. Motlop sends it long in the dying seconds. Laid! Hands on it. Tries to get a toe on it. Johnston takes it through.
Keep coming. Another 5, Brendan.
Just need to make sure they don't turn it over from this kick. Riscatelli doesn't need a risky kick.
It's a good test for young Lockie Henderson playing on the resting ruckman forward, whether it's Lade or Brogan. And there's another foot skill. Is that Travis Johnson?
Well, he doesn't know that there's only seconds left. He might play on the siren. He doesn't. He holds it up. So Daniel Pearce, only NAB rising star of the last decade not to come through the national draft. He was rookie listed by Port Adelaide. Another one of the great football stories. Won everything he possibly could at the draft camp, the sprint. And they didn't draft him because he was too small and he had glasses. And he is a gun. And he kicks the goal to win the half. Port Adelaide started this game in magnificent fashion. They attacked it from the outset, and they finish it nicely as well. The Brisbane Lions clawed their way back into the contest, but at half-time, it's Port with a 35-point lead, 10-5-65 to 4-6-30. Dean Brogan in the ruck, started in the ruck in the opening term. Brendan Lade started on the bench for Port Adelaide And he's up against Matthew Leuenberger with Jamie Charman unable to take his place in the Brisbane Lions lineup tonight.
Simon Blackwell, he's got the corn sandwich.
From the ball up, Leuenberger lays the tackle on Sean Burgoyne.
Kane on the left shoulder and Chad on the right.
Luke Power looks like he's gone to Sean Burgoyne now.
Jed Adcock desperate to get on the Chad Corn. So they're going 1 for 1.
Lappin. Not necessarily a clearance, although Brennan with the one hand almost got a handball away. Brogan, Salopek, Peter Burgoyne. Pettigrew waited for the bounce, it didn't come. Slaps it out nicely though, Kane Corns. Sean Burgoyne. Adcock steals it back again to Corey. Lions might get the first foray forward. Brennan to Notting. Bradshaw calls for it long. It's shorter to Hooper.
That's it now, Jacob.
Ryan Hooper sees Jonathan Brownlee back to the square.
Move it on. Me.
Told to get on with it.
Play on.
Sherman front spot can't mark. Surgeon dives in.
Ball's out.
Wrapped up. Sherman tries to sneak it out.
Look it clear.
Cassisi dropped it. Knocked out in the tackle. Again knocked out in the tackle. It was knocked back. Can't call that a kick. Salopek dives on it. The umpire forced to sort it out.
Good defence there from the Lions forwards and midfielders, just locking the ball in. A couple of tackles that could almost have been rewarded there.
Do you reckon players are getting the ball knocked out or are they just dropping it? When they
A couple of them looked dropped cold, didn't it?
Yeah.
On the shoulder, Brisbane.
Oh, here's a great start for the Lions.
So Wade Mills, who kicked his first goal in AFL football in the opening half and forced to do some ruck work as the late inclusion replacing Jamie Charman. It's the free for that.
A few of them, I think Jonathan Brown was trying to claim it, and then he actually, while Mills was going back, he tapped the umpire on the shoulder and said, I think you missed the free kick to me as well.
Righto, Jason. Well, he tumbled the last goal.
Yeah, this is a soda, this one.
As he helicoptered the last one home, he pops and twists and turns it across the face for a behind, and Dean Brogan lets him know that he didn't deserve it anyway.
Well, they've missed 3 or 4 regulation shots for goal tonight, Brisbane, and you just can't afford to do that at the best of times, let alone when you're 5 or 6 goals down.
As you've mentioned, they're 4-7. If they were 7-4, they'd be back in this game.
Yep.
Chaplin.
Move it on. Play on.
Peter Burgoyne.
And I think that's where the coaching staff tend to feel a bit powerless, because they would sit there and say, look, we're getting the opportunities, we have a chance of being in it, but if we can't kick straight, what more can we do?
Thurston, Salopek, Cassisi. Now Chaplin again. Wide ball. Treadray. Can't trap it. We'll get a ball in. Daniel Merritt in game number 50 for him, doing well. Holmore and Treadray. From the ball in, Leuenberger and Brogan knock it down. Lappin, Black. Kane Corn slides him off it. Cassisi in the Kane Corn's direction, gets a Shepherd. Justin Westhoff left it behind. McDonald to Lappin. Kick away. Travelled 4 metres. Adcock.
Well played.
Notting. Power. Gets a Shepherd. Has a bounce. More positive Brisbane Lions side in this second half. Mills had to stretch. McDonald pokes it inside. Sherman. Now the lead comes from Bradshaw. Jonathan Brown's down there, a full forward. And Port Adelaide flood players back.
Notting's the one on his own. He's going to pick him up. He's got him.
So Notting will have a shot, 45-degree angle, 45 metres out.
And right now, Jason, just to, I guess,
Come around, Tim.
give weight to your argument about shots at goal. They're 3-3 from set shots, the Brisbane Lions, and they haven't had tough set shots. In fact, the ones that they've kicked have been the hard ones.
Why would Tim Notting short pass to a contest when he can kick the ball 60 metres and he's 45 out?
Those and many questions to be answered post-match by the Brisbane Lions, you would think.
That's what makes coaching such a fun game. Playing the mysteries of the mind.
Not out of this yet, but slowly playing their way out of it. Big pack around this ball up. Brogan, perfect. Copybook tap down to Sean Burgoyne.
Great takeaway.
Chad Corns. Nice handball to Boak. Released him. Kane Corns. Runners through the middle again. Peter Burgoyne looks up. He's got Ebert out in front. Hands not quite there, but gets the free for having them slapped. Tom Begley's got a good job on Ebert tonight.
Let's just have a look at that handball there from Peter Burgoyne. That was clearly a throw. But this is a potential for Brett Ebert to start his season. He's been really struggling for possession. And he's worked hard tonight without getting too much of the footy. He's been starved of opportunities to a degree. Plays a role where he's often opening up space, but he needs to get one on the board.
Port Adelaide's #1 goal kicker last year. Hoping to come back into form this year.
Well, it's at least a 2-goal turnaround. We saw Mills miss an easy one at the other end for Brisbane. Then Tim Notting, instead of having a shot, went for a short pass that created a turnover. And then the first time they go down the other end, a pinpoint pass. Ebert takes the mark, who in effect was paid the free kick for the arms being chopped, and he finishes from right on 50. It's just been a different skill level between the two sides tonight.
At 56 goals, 28 to be Port's leading goal kicker last year, Brett Ebert.
Let's just have another look at this handball. Do you reckon under pressure Port Adelaide are almost just dropping the ball?
That looks like that's a throw. That is a dead set throw.
Times. Well, that was a throw. I reckon I've seen it a few times in these contests in this quarter. Or maybe they're just trying to keep the ball in their power or within their grasp.
Certainly hasn't affected the scoreboard in terms of over-favouring one side, but they've been on the stiff end of a couple of decisions, Brisbane, tonight. I mean, it's not going to make a difference to the contest because Port are well on top, but it just makes it worse when you're struggling.
Chad Corns with the one hand. Ebert after behind. Little toe poke was good by Sherman. He's got power out wide, needs to hit him. Does.
Stay there, Chad, stay there. Play on.
Back inboard to Leuenberger, who called in Simon Black.
Come out, play on.
Tough one for Corrie.
Play on.
Roden with the fist knocks it down. Patfull, well crumbed. Adcock slips the pass to Brown. It wasn't 15. Alapate Carlisle hacks it off the deck to Westhoff. Tries to shrug the tackle. Got a handball out. Roden, Kane Corns, Carlisle, Ebert. Tredrea short. Ebert hits him.
Good kick, great mark. Toughest mark in the game to take those ones out in front. Flat out in front of the eyes.
That's your angle, Warren. This is the mark.
9 possessions for Warren Tredrea, 1 goal, 1 to this point in time. Daniel Merritt right there, but just couldn't get a fist on the ball.
Right on it, Daniel, nothing more.
He looks pretty comfortable at the moment, Tredrea, when he's running flat out in a straight line. It's when he has to stop and turn that looks as if he's still got some room to improve.
And his goal kicking spot on tonight. He's got 2.
It's almost a case of looking for something different to say for a change, but it's just highlighted every time Port get the ball. They're good enough to hit targets, given a generous amount of time to get rid of that one, Justin Westhoff. But then have a look. There's plenty of numbers back for Brisbane in the zone, but the Port players lead into space, a pinpoint pass and good hands. Nothing Merritt could do about that. Unfortunately, at the other end, missed targets and fumbles are costing them.
Second goal for Warren Tredrea. Did play 20 games last year and kicked 31 goals, but looked to be playing those 20 games at about 80%. Knee problems, not internal there, to do with his kneecap. Black slips it to Lappin. Notting it was, in fact, gave it to Hooper. Back to Black. Kicks on the left. Shades of Amy Winehouse. Kicks the goal.
Well, that's vintage Simon Black. Superb first possession from the centre of the ground. Followed it up, got it back, and delivered a critical blow. There he is, this time following Chad Corns, exposing Corns because he missed his opportunity for possession. Keeps running on the back of a handball. 3 more of those and we've got a game. Jason.
Nine kicks, 8 handballs, Simon Black. 77-37. Brogan and Leuenberger in the ruck. Cassisi dragged down, good tackle. Black calling for the free, doesn't get it, will get a ball up.
Well, I think he'd be really pleased with the tackling intensity, Lee Matthews. Statistically, it's 12-2 in this term.
Thank you.
But it's what they're doing with the footy, as you pointed out a number of times, Jason, that's let them down.
Again, Leuenberger shouldering the load in the absence of Jamie Charman. Beaten for it by Brogan, but Sherman with the clearance. Brennan. Got a spark at the moment, the Lions. Corrie to Lappin. Sidesteps a couple, no one to go too long. Short to Riscatelli. And now the lead. High bomb. Hoping for Bradshaw, can't get there. Thurston's can.
Well, they've got the tools down there, but you've got to still kick it to their advantage. In fact, what Brisbane did there was spread really well across the ground, but they didn't use the spread. Just the long bomb.
Salopek, Corns, Surgeon, Kane Corns. Wrapped up by Hooper. Brilliant tackle, not rewarded again.
Had to be a free, didn't it, Dwight?
As you mentioned, Jared, they're not paying the frees when the ball knocked out in the tackle. If, in fact, it's knocked out and not just dropped. Leuenberger can't get there, will get a ball in. You must reward the tackler in that instance.
Well, he had an opportunity, so he's lost prior opportunity.
No. Must reward the tackler. Back into play. Leuenberger with a slap down. Cassisi half tripped. Pokes it to the midfield. Travis Johnston. Daniel Pearce. Travis Johnston needs to hit a target with this kick. Makes it tough for Corrie. Bounces it to him. Corrie's handball even worse. Colin Begley. Midfield, Travis Johnston. Out of the frying pan into the fire for him. Left Melbourne over the summer. Looked like a good move, but Brisbane Lions struggling at the moment. And now the kick wide to Lappin.
Probably happier at Brisbane than Melbourne, though, having said that, Dwayne.
Yeah. Leuenberger.
That's just unfair. That handball was a shocker. For a golfer to be like hitting it into the trees, losing a ball.
Travis Johnston spears it inside 50 to Riscatelli, and they're slowly playing their way back, the Brisbane Lions.
He just has to go back and kick this. If he didn't mark it, Daniel Bradshaw was about 4 metres clear of Thurston's and would have. You see Luke Howe coming off for a spell. That's the sort of kick they need from Travis Johnston, Jared.
Well, he's had 3 kicks in the last 3 minutes. He's just cruising along as part of that zone across half-back, and if he's left to penetrate, he could be dangerous in this next part of the quarter.
First shot at goal for Michael Riscatelli, and he has eased it through. They're back.
And Simon Black straight over to Travis Johnson. Gave him the old clip on the shoulder.
Would like to see a few more of those.
Ruffled the hair. Often that suggests that maybe he's had a bit of a chat to the coach at half-time when players are trying to lift him.
He might have got a burst.
Well, he'd only had 6 possessions in the first half, so that wouldn't be surprising if he did get a bit of a cook, but he's lifted in this term and he's playing quite well.
7 kicks, 5 handballs for Michael Riscatelli. And the Lions have a sniff.
I reckon Lee Matthews would be happy also with Justin Sherman. He's kept Roden to 2 possessions in this third quarter. We're halfway through it. He's picked up 3 himself.
Leuenberger with the palm down, but not the clearance for the Lions. Umpire will sort it out.
And you can just see him in the periphery of the contest. Sherman is all over Roden. He is shadowing him everywhere. This is the heavy tag that needed to be done after Roden ran riot in the first half.
Leuenberger again, knocking it down. Chad Corns. Pearce, back to Chad. Well, knocked away from Cassisi by Johnston, who now lays the tackle. Umpire trying to knock it out. He doesn't. Free kick, Travis Johnston.
Having a good 10 minutes. He's against Salopek. He's on a quality player.
Tough kick for Corrie to mark again, but notting Mike Crum. Jonathan Brown almost got in his way and thumped it out to Port Adelaide's advantage. Little kick by Stewart to half forward. Only man that can get there, Burgoyne, and he gets there. He made the effort to make the run. Didn't know if it would pay off, and Sean Burgoyne almost to Westhoff, marked by Merritt, front spot.
Good strength, Daniel Merritt. Justin Westhoff just tried to edge him under the ball, but Merritt did not get moved 1 inch. Terrific strength.
McDonald from half back with a Shepherd. Kick towards Jonathan Brown, dives and marks.
A great mark, great effort. Just got to be careful here, Port Adelaide. They're off the boil a little bit in this term, and Brisbane are on the boil. And they just may leave enough room for Brisbane to sneak back in with a sneaky chance.
Adcock, Mills calls for it long. Chaplin backing back into him, gets the fist away. Pocket, nodding with 2 to beat, beats them both.
Got into target.
Thinks about having a shot, and not the best of all possible options.
He could have gone back to Daniel Bradshaw. But again, another opportunity. They're creating numerous opportunities, Brisbane. They went the Malachi crunch, then the Port players, and missed him. Both knocked each other over.
Carlisle, you know you're a Happy Days fan, but anyway.
Absolutely.
Carlisle wrapped up by Brennan.
No try, immediately tackled.
Just explain the Malachi crunch for our younger viewers, if you can, please, Jason.
Those are the demolition derby, where they would get one car in the middle and they'd both come from each side and just sandwich them in the middle. The 2 Port players tried to do that to Notting, but he just pulled back and stepped out of the way.
He was the Fonz.
Yes.
Corrie knocked away from him, ball out of play.
Didn't finish like the Fonz, though.
Justin Westhoff having a rest. Peter Burgoyne as well. Port Adelaide, Daniel Pearce started on the pine. Brogan slaps it down, but in the Adcock direction. Can't keep it alive. Bit of ball in.
Well, right now I reckon we're in the equivalent of junk time, where we're not quite sure whether Brisbane are going to turn this game into a late charge or whether Port Adelaide are just sitting there having their downtime and ready to blow them away.
Kick 1 or 2 goals and put it to bed.
Speaking of blow away, Roden's blown them away tonight. That was possession 23. Warren Treadray with a bomb in the laid direction, makes the contest. Takes a couple down with him. Lappin needs to drag this through for a behind.
How good was Lockie Henderson going back with the flight of the ball and getting a fist to it to affect the spoil? Terrific courage.
Thought it was Merritt, but it was Lockie Henderson even more because he's just a young kid. Oh, there's Merritt in the front. You're spot on, Jason.
That is brilliant from a young bloke. And he wore the bump in the middle of the back.
McDonald. 2 a 2-on-1. Patfull. In fact, it's a 3-on-2. And Port Adelaide with the 3. Hand up to Salapic from Boak. Gives it off to Surgeon from 48. Nails it.
He's growing rapidly as a player, Thurston. Last week, one of their best for Port Adelaide, particularly early in the piece. And off that half-back line or full-back line, depending on where he is, he will run forward. And this time he runs forward and gets a reward. Big goal. And he enjoyed it.
Jacob Surgeon, whose 50th game last week against the Crows was one of the best of his career. And he gets his first goal of 2008. From the ball up, laid, back slap, Salopek to Boak. Little hand off, but no prior opportunity as Brennan lays the tackle. Brisbane free kick. Adcock. Travis Johnston. Lead comes from Bradshaw. It's in his direction. Gets it on the bounce. Wade Mills pops it up in the air, might mark his own kick. You heard the call of play on. Johnston gets on the end of this. Can he finish? Yet to kick a goal for the Lions. Kicks across the face. Brown!
Oh, brilliant.
Read that. Saw it come over his head.
Well, I don't think that was one of Travis Johnson's better kicks. He went for the massive banana, tried to kick the special goal. Jonathan Brown thought it was going to the far point post and it actually dropped on him, but he just kept looking back over the shoulder and tracked the ball.
Well, if anyone can get the Brisbane Lions back into it, it's Jonathan Brown, the Coleman medalist from last year. Kicks the goal, keeps them alive.
They continue just to stay at that nagging distance where if they can get a couple, 2 or 3 in a row, they're right back in it, Jared. But every time they do, Port Adelaide seem to have an answer.
This is just magic. He was the one that kept his eye on the ball the longest. And judgment was superb.
2 goals, 1 for Jonathan Brown. On the boundary line, Rowan Smith.
Oh, isn't it? It's just great to see. Chad Corns has just gone back into the middle, but when he goes forward, he always has an influence. A lot of midfielders these days play in the midfield and then come off and have a rest, but when he goes forward, he just has a real influence on the game.
Margin was 35 points at half-time. It's now 34. Roden, possession 24 to Motlop. Waste no time. 2 Port Adelaide players in the middle calling for it. Salopek from 45. He's becoming one of the best players in the midfield in the competition.
And unfortunately, that's been the nature of the contest. Whenever Brisbane have tried to create some sort of hope of momentum to get back into the game, Port Adelaide have answered very, very quickly. Terrific square up from Motlop. They could have raffled it. There are a couple of Port players there queuing up for it, but in the end, it was Stephen Salopek. A few nervous looks at the ball as it headed towards that right goalpost, but it snuck in at the last moment. It was just the answer they needed to open up that 40-point break again.
We were talking about drafts earlier, gentlemen, and Stephen Salopek could yet become the best player ever from the 2002 draft. He was picked 6. Goddard was 1, Wells 2, and Jared Brennan 3. He's up there with those. Hooper to Corrie. Caught. Kick dribbles towards Alapate Carlisle.
It was Roden with that smother.
It was Roden. I think he's got the votes.
Chad Corns, Chaplin, Peter Burgoyne, Kane Corns. Take your pick. Brendan Lade. Paul Stewart. Clever handball. He ran onto that. Kicks it in the Motlop direction. Hands are good tonight.
He's really troubled, Padful.
Again, the centering kick. This time to Travis Boak. Can't get there to mark it. Adcock with him. Boak pokes Surgeon.
Just on kids like Travis Boak, who's a bit younger than Stephen Salopek, I think both will be hoping and I reckon justifiably entertaining the thought that when Kevin Sheedy and Mark Thompson announced their squad of 40 for the Victorian side to take on the All-Stars, I think it's in about 2 weeks, they may well be given an opportunity to at least train with the Big V, if not play.
As Travis Boak is essentially the highest draft choice Port Adelaide's ever had at pick 5 in 2006. He's growing as a player, and Jacob Surgeon doing likewise.
Good play.
Well, that makes life very tough now for Brisbane. He hasn't got amongst the goals tonight, but Daniel Motlop has been an important player.
Yeah.
He's led up strongly. He's marked the ball beautifully out in front of him against his opponent, Joel Patfull, and he squared it up a couple of times. That one didn't quite hit the target, but in the space of a couple of minutes, he's basically contributed 2 goals without actually kicking them himself.
Jacob Surgeon not selected by any team in the 2003 draft, but picked up pre-season by Port Adelaide before the 2004 season. From the ball up, 15-6 plays 7-8. Get a secondary ball up.
Nearly had 100 more possessions, Port Adelaide, 305 to 210, an extra 95 possessions. And that's a lot of football.
Lade, back slap. Power towards Johnston. David Roden. Not a possession, but a decisive hand. Pearce. Corns. Left it behind almost deliberately, Chad. Kick not so good. Behind. (97-50). Biggest lead of the game. 47 points. Daniel Motlop, who gave away a couple of 50-metre penalties last week, coming off the mark as Patfull kicks a long bomb in hope, hoping for Riscatelli, who slapped it back nicely, but straight to Pettigrew. Dives over it. Simon Black, shuffle it out to Power. Adcock runs onto it. Might go the whole journey. Looked up, wanted to give off, gets the kick, and it's Shabbat through. Every time you think they're gone, they get one.
He's tried hard, Jed Adcock. He's only had the 11 possessions, but now gets a goal on the board. Unfortunately, like a lot of his teammates, Hasn't got as many possessions as he would normally get as we head towards three-quarter time, but he waited up. He tried to draw the defender and then hand pass over the top, but the defender wouldn't leave his opponent, so in the end he had to kick it himself, and he did a very, very good job. Been a big improver in the midfield for Brisbane, Jed Adcock.
Meeting of the minds in the middle. Jed Adcock kicking the goal, and Leuenberger in the ruck with him, as well as Lappin and Simon Black for this clearance. Cassisi, Sean Burgoyne, Kane Corns and Brendan Lade in the middle for the ball up for Port Adelaide. Lade down to Cassisi, to Kane Corns, left to behind. Adcock again to Leuenberger. McDonald.
I reckon he deserves a rap, Leuenberger.
Black.
He's worked pretty hard.
Lappin.
Throughout.
Centering kick, tough one to mark. Salopek gets back with the flight. Was knocked out a couple of times last year doing exactly that. Doesn't mind body on the line. Chaplin to Pearce. Peter Burgoyne. Salopek. Loops the handball to Boak. Thurstons spun out of trouble. Pettigrew. Caught. Poke. They still run it.
Numbers running from behind for Port.
Salopek to Modlock. Tries to manufacture something spectacular. Ebert. Centering kick not so good. Riscatelli stands under it and takes the mark.
Just back away from the comic.
Selwood.
The idea was right. It was just the execution.
Jared Brennan. Oh, spectacular. Not so good now, although the slide
Clever.
meant that he was free, and he kicks to Bradshaw.
He was desperate to play on because he saw Daniel Bradshaw push back into space. Almost got cornered, but good enough to get up quickly, Brennan, and chip the ball over.
Took 1 goal 3 tonight, Daniel Bradshaw. Normally a very accurate kick, and he's back as well. 3 minutes from three-quarter time. Brisbane Lions won't go away.
And on the boundary line, you tipped this at the start of the program, Smithy, but the rain has started to tumble.
Yeah, it certainly has, Jared. And just as we said, it started off at the start of this third quarter, just a very light drizzle, but it's just starting to get a little bit heavy now.
Lucky you're not still up on that roof, Jason.
Chad Corns back onto the ground for Port Adelaide, straight into the centre square. They probably need to kick another one in the last 3 minutes to get themselves inside the 5-goal margin.
Guys, to the right hand. Thanks, Jacob.
Daniel Bradshaw, second goal. 97 to 62 in the rain. As if it wasn't hard enough for the Lions. The bounce. Brogan against Leuenberger. Black to Adcock. Johnston. Lead comes from Jonathan Brown. It's ignored. And now it's a wobbler forward. Tough, almost impossible to mark. Carlisle. Hamill misses the target to Lappin for 2 goals in a minute, and he's missed.
Ooh, golden opportunity again. I was about to say the rain mightn't necessarily affect Brisbane too much. They've been a little bit scrappy tonight, whereas Port Adelaide have been clinical with their skills. Perhaps it's going to make life tougher for them to continue at the same level.
Laid to Salopek.
He's had a good quarter, Salopek. He's not sure if he's still on Travis Johnson. They started against each other on the wing, but he looks as if he's gone into more of a midfield role.
22 possessions now for Stephen Salopek. This is Peter Burgoyne. And now Tredrea, forced to fly Merritt's fist wins out again, as it so often does. And we'll get a ball in on the wing. 2 minutes and change to three-quarter time.
Get him up, guys, don't hold on.
From the ball in, Leuenberger can't win the tap this time. Boak poked it out. Hooper, shuffle. Black, Stiller, nodding over Jonathan Brown's head, or at least past him, and Lade mops it up. Kick not so good. Well played, Stewart, put his body on the line. Well, Stewart, just his 4th game.
Well, it's coming down now. It's pouring.
Well, Stewart's played every game this year after spending last year recovering from big-time shoulder surgery. Too high on Selwood. Free kick. Merritt. Stiller.
Oh, she's bucketing there.
It is. And he bombs it. Mark that. Jonathan Brown gets back, so too Pettigrew. Travis Johnson in the hail. It'll snow shortly. Short to Hooper, and he marks the slippery ball.
That is a serious storm now. But if he kicks this, they get inside 5 goals. They need to be inside the 30-point mark to give themselves a chance of running over the top of Port Adelaide in the last quarter. Been a tough night for Rowan Hooper, just the 4 possessions.
Well, for those 18-year-olds that actually haven't seen this phenomena before, that's actually called rain.
Yes, but for those 18-year-olds at home, we'll be shutting the roof here shortly, and it'll be fine. Hooper holds up in the rain.
Disappointing.
I thought he did a good job to be able to get it to the boot.
They've kicked themselves out of it, out of the potential of really pushing Port Adelaide to the wire tonight.
We're going to get those white jumpers dirty.
It's something that we see so rarely these days. Conditions are normally so good.
Pettigrew.
This is Brisbane like rain.
Brendan Lade.
Let's just hope all the catchment areas are just sucking it up.
See that young kid, he's never seen it before. He was jumping up and down.
Peter Burgoyne just mopping up the seconds here. Rowan Smith's not out in it. He's nice and cosy. He's got his own TV down there.
Thank God for the dugouts here at Amy Stadium, boys.
Well, you're going to have to go out at 3/4 time and hear what the coaches have to say, Rowan.
Yeah, we'll do that, Dwayne.
Brendan Lade marks on the siren. It's 3/4 time here at Amy Stadium. We could have done with Justin Lepich in defence tonight, the Brisbane Lions.
About time Smithy did some hard yards too.
He's got the screw-ins on, which is good as he makes his way back into the dugout. Brendan Lade, who started on the bench for Port Adelaide, will play his 200th game for the Port Adelaide Football Club next week. Brendan Lade against the West Coast Eagles at Subiaco. What a star he's been, All-Australian the last 2 years. And he's starting the quarter in the ruck. Cassisi off the deck, Black, caught, West off, nice hands, Chad Corns. And now the long bomb forward from Salopek. No mark, no free. Begley toes it to Johnston. Missed the target with the handball. Kane Corn. Salopek slides. Much of these players will still have the moulded soles on. Stephen Salopek sent it back inside 50. And Warren Treadray on the move. Gets there. Nice arms wrapped around the leather.
I reckon it was cricket they called for the third umpire.
Yeah, and I was about to say the umpires paid that from behind as well. Very difficult to see if the ball actually half volleyed into the chest.
They call that the impossible pocket. Not just impossible to kick a goal from there, but impossible to pinpoint a pass. Patfield took it out deliberately, but, you know, why pay it now?
Here it is, the third umpire.
Yeah, he got the hand under it, but have a look where the umpire was in the background.
Black. Not fifth. Salopek. It's the abbreviated version. Travis Johnston to Jonathan Brown on the wing. Carlisle, Brown. Carlisle knows the boundaries there.
He's under pressure.
Just a point on Simon Black. I reckon he struggled in the first 10 minutes, and he probably didn't have a great first quarter. But the reason he's regarded as a champion of the competition is he's just kept on working and working and working and worked his way back into the game. Where now he's at 23 possessions and he's been one of the better players for the Brisbane Lions. He's skipper, and he's set an example of just work rate. Still being tagged by Kane Corns, one of the best tags in the competition.
And here's the man you spoke of, Simon Black. On cue to Corrie. Thumps it along. Bradshaw, front spot, can't get a fly at it. Thurston's another well-directed fist. Seen him do that a few times tonight. Doesn't just punch it away, but punches it where he wants it to go. Ball in. Started his career at Port Adelaide as a forward, of course. Toby Thurston's 3 goals and one of the heroes in the grand final win. From the knockdown, around the body, nodding, has kicked the goal to start the term brilliantly for the Lions.
Well, that's a major turnaround for Tim Notting. I reckon he's butchered it a fair few times tonight by foot, wrong decisions, etc. But this one, generally a pretty good kick. But that one was a classic goal.
Some good work on the goal line from Daniel Bradshaw just to work Toby Thurston's over the line.
Good special effects there by our cameraman.
It was a good finish. He's only been operating at 62% efficiency, Tim Notting, but a terrific goal there.
Saw Matthew Primus earlier in the game. Tim Notting's the man that the Lions drafted with compensatory pick 26 they got when Matthew Primus elected not to play with the Lions, moved from Fitzroy to Port Adelaide. It's been a good pick-up, Tim Notting. From the ball up, Chaplin, down to Cassisi, Chad Corns with the outside of the foot. And a rolling ball that finds the line.
No left foot on your favourite player, Jared?
That's deliberate. He's paid that deliberate, has he?
Because it was 30 metres away from any teammate. He needed to go on the left foot, Jared. He tried to kick the banana, I think.
He's a favourite banana player, though.
Yeah.
He does like the banana. He can kick left foot.
Stiller.
I think he was just kicking into space.
McDonald could have decided to load up from 55. Might have been a better option than that.
Absolutely.
Grubber towards Bradshaw, who might make something of it yet. Spins out of trouble. Well, Notting kicked one from here moments ago. Hasn't been Bradshaw's night. He's kicked 2 goals, 4.
Just such an odd place for Joel McDonald to look to chip the ball too deep in the pocket. You've got to go long and straight. We heard Justin Lepich, the assistant coach, say, old-fashioned footy, it's wet. You can't pinpoint passes. Bash and crash, get it long and direct.
Pate to Kane, to Travis Boak. And Brendan Lade. Leuenberger got a hand on it. McDonald, Leuenberger, Adcock, Black. They're looking as if they believe in themselves, at least the Lions, in this final term. Sherman. Oh, Stewart had his hands on it.
That's unlucky. He was following the ball, Sherman, and he just tried to... He didn't have a big swing at it. He just got it away from there. You've probably got to protect the player whose hands are over the footy, but he'd done everything right there, Sherman, in keeping the ball ahead of him.
It's kick cut off by McDonald.
I got lucky there because McDonald clearly pushed his Port opponent out. Kick's got to be dangerous.
Was it?
That didn't look a dangerous kick to me.
Chad Corns has just positioned himself a kick behind play to try and mop things up.
Jonathan Brown inside 50. Can't get there. Travis Johnston from 15 metres out. Rolls it through. Where there's life, there's hope.
20 points, Jared.
Well, this is the lowest the margin's been since about the 20-minute mark of the second quarter. So they've just put themselves to sleep to some degree, Port Adelaide, and in doing so, they've given Brisbane just half a sniff. And Travis Johnson continues to mop up some possessions. And they are the ones that hurt the most.
First goal as a Brisbane Lion for Travis Johnston, and the Lions have kicked the last 4.
They just needed the rain, Dwayne.
Laid down to Chad Corns. Working hard into space, Ebert. To his own advantage. Keeps it alive. Begley. Deft deflection. Then a toe poke. Irish style. McDonald. No one to go to. Hacks it forward. Hoping for Corrie. Hits him. Things going right for the Lions at the moment. Leuenberger had an outstanding night. On his own. No Charman. Nope. He gets the call to play on.
We had Stiller in short as well.
Jonathan Brown, not a bad man to go to, though, in a 2-on-2. Chaplin. Well played, Notting. Decided to slide in, keep the ball travelling. Riscatelli, another inside 50. He could go the whole journey. Sends the long bomb back to the square. Bradshaw! This will be 5 in a row.
What's happened? The rain has come and so have Brisbane. Unbelievable.
For his 3rd. Brisbane Lions fans wouldn't go to bed yet.
Well, he didn't really have anything else in mind other than just get it long to the top of the goal square. Classic stuff from Bradshaw. He's one of the smartest body players I think we've seen in the last 20 or so years. He just knows how to hold a position. He's got those tree trunk thighs and use them to great advantage. And took a good mark.
Three goals, 4 for Daniel Bradshaw. 97, plays 83. Ton of time left, 15 minutes. From the ball up, Laid. Adcock's had a good second half. Corns tried to slip it out, tries to get a kick away. Ball comes alive on the wing. Salopek towards Westhoff. To his own advantage and towards the boundary. Ball in.
Right now, Port Adelaide need a lift out of David Roden. He has not got near the footy this quarter.
Hasn't touched it. He had 4 only in the third after 20. And
Leuenberger's free. The Lions will get the clearance.
he was looking to pay advantage. But you've got to take your hat off to Justin Sherman. Jared, he's done a fantastic job. Oh, dangerous kick.
Leuenberger, it comes off. McDonald plays on quickly. Brennan's up forward, uses the body nicely, can run back onto it. Can he make something of it? He left it behind. Pettigrew sees the line and fumbles nicely.
That was unlucky. That ball had to bounce up at some stage. It just went end over end along the grass without kicking up at any stage.
So if they get the next goal, Brisbane?
Look out.
The Natives a little restless at the moment. Sean Burgoyne's kick touched. Waddle on the deck.
Good kick.
Tredrea slides it further forward. Ebert sees it out.
So, Jared, if you're Mark Williams, at what stage do you sit there and say, well, you know what, we're going to put numbers behind the ball, which means the ball's probably going to come down there a lot because you haven't got enough players further afield to keep it up there. But do you protect the game, or do you sit here and say, I think we can get a grasp back on it?
Well, I think they've been pushing numbers behind anyway in his own defence, but I think they've got to start winning the ball from the stoppages. That's where I think that Brisbane's got back on top.
Crowd want that to be deliberate, given that Chad Corns had one called deliberate earlier.
I don't reckon they can just flood back and save the game, because eventually Brisbane are just going to keep bombing the ball, and they've got good pack grabs like Bradshaw and Jonathan Brown.
Port Adelaide led by as much as 47 points if you've just joined us.
This is the bloke that's kept persevering, Leuenberger.
He's been good, hasn't he?
Corrie to Travis Johnston. Is he allowed to play on? He is, but he misses a behind. Scrape the post.
All of a sudden, the missed shots are coming back to haunt them, and we hope they don't get close enough so that there's one kick of difference, Dwayne, because we had that very dodgy goal, umpire's decision that went in favour of Port when it would never have been a goal.
Well, they've had more scoring shots than Port Adelaide, Brisbane. From the kick in, Sean Burgoyne.
Start running again. Here's the man.
Laid, Peter Burgoyne. Gets a little shepherd. Kick, hits the target, but he drops it Westhoff.
Well, that's the conditions. All of a sudden, the skill comes down a little bit from Port Adelaide.
McDonald to Black. Called to play on, he dropped it. Slides a handball out to Adcock. A wobbly torpedo forward, standing under a Pettigrew.
Well, that's the kick that they just can't do, because all day they've had these blokes back. Brisbane have pushed their blokes back into a zone. You just can't bomb.
Sean Burgoyne. Brendan Laid.
They do look happy to slow things down, though, Port Adelaide.
Port Adelaide yet to win a game this year. Brisbane Lions to 1 win. Both clubs desperate here. Long kick, Westhoff. Thumped out of play, ball in.
I don't know what they recruited him as, Lockie Henderson, but he certainly shows promise down back. He's probably a key position type that can play at both ends, but he's been very, very good tonight in a couple of tough roles.
Laid, front spot, tap down. We saw David Roden on the bench after his 20-possession first half. Umpire Heath Ryan tosses it in the air. Black. Adcock. Stiller. And it opens up. Kick not so good. Although getting back Bradshaw with the bounce. Traps it. Caught. Gets it out. Stiller follows it up. Peter Burgoyne over it as well.
Well, that kick just had to go long because he had the opportunity to go over the wall. They've got Chad Corns there. He's just pushed back, and he's playing as a floater across half-back. They've got to get it deep to Jonathan Brown in the square.
Anthony Corrie held by Peter Burgoyne. Umpire saw the jumper stretch.
Move quickly. He's 1 against 1 at the moment.
He might be able to go the whole way. Corrie sends a long drop part across the face. Bradshaw flies. Jonathan Brown crumbs it. He's caught. A behind. They edge ever closer. 2 goals the margin. Chad Corns.
The best thing Port Adelaide can do to take a bit of the pressure off, and make no mistake, they're feeling it right now, but the best thing they can do is kick a goal.
Jeez, did he go to the mark there?
Hooper with the touch, ball down to Lappin, kick to Bradshaw at full forward. There's that Thurston's punch again, but it's inside 2 goals. 2 unanswered goals to the Lions now. They hit the lead.
Good spoil that time from Thurston's. It's been a tough night for him against Daniel Bradshaw.
Long and high kick in the Brogan direction, made the ground, couldn't mark it.
Good effort by Nigel Lappin there, just to put some pressure on the big man. The weather did the rest.
47-point lead, whittled down to 11.
Adelaide pushes up to do the ruck work, and Brogan goes back with Corns as loose. So they've got to pinpoint passes.
Ball knocked down towards Chaplin. Push, no free. Sean Burgoyne through the legs of Kane Corns. Dished it up. Peter Burgoyne gets it from Cassisi. Kick off the side. Might be out of the full. It is. Lions will have a shot at goal.
Oh, it's a shame he couldn't get the ball back quickly. He had loose players on. If the ball hadn't gone over the fence into the seats. They are feeling the pressure, Port Adelaide. It is coming.
Stiller from outside the boundary line. Kicks while he's still outside. This would set the cut amongst the pigeons. They're less than a goal away.
The amazing thing about that kick is that's the same man, Jared, that strolled through the centre square before on his natural left foot and kicked it straight off the side of the boot.
What's this for a throw?
A little bit of a fumble there.
There's a hand
A quick hand pass there, but he's gone for the torpedo, Peter Burgoyne. That is low percentage off the side of the boot. Have a look at this for threading the needle after you've just shanked your last kick. That is brilliant from Shaney Stiller. Game on.
And there he is, Simon Black. He's just had 3 minutes rest. They got the goal. He couldn't get back out on the ground quick enough.
5 points to margin. Port Adelaide coming off one of the toughest games they've ever played last week in the showdown. And they're tiring. They led by 47. Cassisi rolls it to half forward. Westhoff, a fumble again. Henderson to Power. They're inspired at the moment, the Lions. Corrie, little slap toward the line by Surgeon. Didn't make it. Would have been deliberate anyway.
Smart kick.
Corrie to Black. Gets the free.
And all of a sudden things are working in Brisbane's favour.
Bradshaw calls for it short. It's ignored. Black wants to go a bit more central to Hooper. He might be within range.
He can roost,
particularly with no one on the mark.
Ron Hooper, yet to kick a goal this year.
49 metres. Is that 49?
Asks where the mark is. Massive kick this to give the Lions the lead. 10 minutes from time. Oh, that is a gem off the boot. They're in front.
Jared, this is very difficult to explain. We had a game here that Port Adelaide were controlling, and I said at half in jest when the rain came, I said maybe this will take the skill out of Port Adelaide's game because Brisbane had been playing a scrappy brand of football. Anyway, well, Brisbane have kept doing what they've been doing all night. That's having a crack but making the odd mistake. All of a sudden, Port Adelaide haven't been able to control the footy because they can't pinpoint passes. They haven't got the slick hand passes in tight because they're fumbling, and all of a sudden Brisbane's in front.
A 48-point turnaround. Port Adelaide led by 47. They're now down by 1. Not sure what McDonald was doing there, but he didn't want to take possession. Perhaps should have. Pettigrew. Kick knocked down. Power over it. Called to play on. Scrappy, slippery ball at the moment. Boak.
Well, make no mistake, Dwayne. Port Adelaide season on the line right here.
Cassisi wide to Ebert. His season on the line almost as well. Is that deliberate? No.
From a tactical point of view, the only thing that stands out is that David Roden has been curtailed to some degree.
Yep.
Well, not to some degree. He's had 6 possessions, 4 possessions, in fact, in this second half.
Hasn't touched it in the last quarter.
Has spent a bit of the time on the bench. Leuenberger has been spectacular again. Stewart
that's good.
Pushed off the kick. Travis Johnston. Jonathan Brown. Slippery ball. Carlisle collects it at half-back. Kick smothered, out of play.
They've been relentless in their work rate, Brisbane. They've just attacked. They've attacked the footy. They've tried to surge forward. They've made a heap of mistakes, particularly prior to the rain coming. But now they're playing the brand of football that's best suited to the conditions.
Lade slaps it down, but to Adcock. Kick inside 50. Carlisle in a tie-up with Brown. And the ball out of play again.
But surely it's as much, if not more, about Port Adelaide. Brisbane's been a constant.
Yep.
Port Adelaide, I reckon, were sitting there halfway through the third quarter thinking what we were thinking. Let's just get this over and done with because we've got this game won.
So what we were thinking.
Well, I'm pretty sure I was thinking that's one.
But at that point in time, they were hitting targets at will, handling the ball beautifully. That's been taken out of the game by the rain.
Yeah.
And the ball up. Somehow Jared Brennan manufactures a kick, but it's out of play on the full. Port Adelaide's ball.
I reckon psychologically sometimes you can get too far in front. And you get so far in front, you get 2 players relax, you get 4 players relax, all of a sudden the work rate drops off.
I'll take 48 points up any day of the week.
Yes, I'm with you. It doesn't happen too often.
Sean Burgoyne. Short. Chaplin. Sean Burgoyne. And they're not as sure of themselves at the moment, Port Adelaide, and that's a turnover. Bradshaw.
They've got to get a goal here, Brisbane, whilst they got the run of it.
Johnston. Shrugs an attempted tackle, slides the pass to Jonathan Brown.
If ever you wanted Travis Johnson to hit the target, that was the one.
One of the criticisms about Travis Johnson is that he misses too many targets, and one of the reasons for that is that he tends to choose the most difficult option at times. But that was a difficult option, but it was the only option that would have resulted in a clear mark to Brisbane. Otherwise, he just had to bomb it high. Yeah. And he was good enough in the wet conditions to hit the leading Brown and give him a chance to get more than a goal in front now.
He's kicked 2 goals, 1 tonight, Jonathan Brown, to stretch the margin past a goal. He likes it off the boot. It's there. And Port Adelaide on the canvas.
So, Dwayne, where do Port Adelaide get their run from right now? Where do they get their inspiration from?
Well, Roden would be handy. He's had 24 possessions, 20 of them in the opening half. Maybe he's spent. Got to get it from somebody who's spent some time on the bench, surely.
Well, don't you go back to the bloke whose reputation is growing, and that is Chad Corns. He has found a way many, many times. He's in the middle. He's got to have an impact now.
Well, this has been a stunning turnaround. 3 goals to Jonathan Brown. The Brisbane Lions have kicked the last 8 goals in this match to get in front.
From the ball up, Black spins his way out of trouble. Gets the kick away, and the man again, Travis Johnston, has the ball in his hands. Bradshaw leads. Jonathan Brown leads. He misses both of them.
That's the flip side of the brilliance of Travis Johnston.
Salopek towards Treadray. Tried to flick it back. Modlop. Big moments seem to follow Daniel Modlop. He toes it toward the forward pocket, and that's almost a win. It is a win for both clubs.
Well, moments ago, we saw a fantastic pass from Travis Johnson. That time, he went for the impossible and hadn't even cleared the bloke on the mark.
Lions are flooding players back. There's 20 players around this ball in. Knocked down towards Modlop. Again, it's out of play.
Just the 4th time they've gone inside the forward 50 this quarter.
A lot of discipline required around the ball, not to give away free kicks as well right now.
You see it's evolving into an epic. Leuenberger knocks it down to his advantage. Power, McDonald, Travis Johnston.
With the line. Evolving, Brian. I think it's evolved. You don't get back in front when you're 48 points behind at Amy Stadium. Unless you're a local team.
Brogan and Leuenberger. Ball hits the deck. Black tries to squeeze it out. Gets a free for in the back.
I reckon he nearly picked it up and dived then.
Yeah.
Simon Black. Now,
Simon Black has been brilliant in his persistence.
He has been.
He was flogged early, and yet he's finished up having a massive impact on this game.
Dean Brogan just fell on top of him. Made it an easy decision for the umpire to get, because in these conditions, the ball player will always get looked after.
Riscatelli long. Jonathan Brown with the punch. Travis Johnson, a one-arm collect. Open forward line. Bradshaw leads in the race for it. Spins around, gets the kick away. That's going to be there. It's more than there. They're nearly home.
I'm gobsmacked. I am absolutely gobsmacked. I don't think anyone saw this coming. It crept up on us. They started to look okay when the rain came. They kicked a couple. They kept creeping up on us. That's 9 goals in a row for the Brisbane Lions, and that's one of the best of the night. I thought he perhaps had a handball option to give, but he knew what he was doing. Daniel Bradshaw kicked his 4th goal, 2 coming in the final quarter, and this is just a Brisbane landslide.
Port Adelaide's theme song says there's history here in the making. Haven't they seen some history recently? Last year's grand final was history, and this would be a history-making defeat. Sean Burgoyne inside 50, keeps them in it. It's not over yet.
I'm glad he kicked the goal, Jared, because he had Stephen Salopek running ahead of him in the corridor to his right. It would have run into an open goal from 30 metres out, but he took the responsibility, Sean Burgoyne. 50 metres on the run, that's a fantastic finish. It took an individual piece of brilliance to break a run of 9 consecutive goals for the Brisbane Lions.
Well, they needed some inspiration. He's the man with the talent. He delivered.
He almost single-handedly dragged Port Adelaide home in the showdown last week, Sean Burgoyne. He kicks the goal to give them hope. And the ball up, laid down towards Sean Burgoyne again. Here's Roden again. Doesn't get the free this time, a free that he might have got when things were running his way in the opening half. Leuenberger tries to extract it.
Isn't it amazing? The whole of Port Adelaide have just been cruising for 30 minutes, but now the switch is on. They are just twice as desperate. Look like a free kick. Not paid.
Laid with a back slap to Lappin. Gets the kick away. Bradshaw, he's been the man of the moment. Could he kick another? Jonathan Brown in the square.
Daniel Bradshaw's on fire.
He is.
He is on fire.
It's been a brilliant move from Lee Matthews to swap those 2 guys over. Brown's gone deep. Bradshaw's gone out 30 or 40 metres out from goal. And that's where he's had an impact on this match.
No thoughts of just shepherding it through, Brownie?
Not in your life. And so he shouldn't either. It was too far from behind, and that goal umpire was down there blocking everything.
1 metre forward.
Jonathan Brown for goal number 4. They're on the canvas once more.
Still time, though. Still time for Port Adelaide to get back into it.
4 goals apiece to the key forwards for Brisbane, Brown and Bradshaw. Daniel Bradshaw, we said early it was a matchup that he liked because he was more agile and quicker at ground level than Toby Thurston's. He beat him on the lead a number of times, but he was a little bit inaccurate early. In fact, he's kicked 4 goals for, but has he turned it on in the 4th quarter?
It was a couple of years ago when these 2 teams went head-to-head here that it was the Brown and Bradshaw show. Brown kicking 7, Bradshaw 6. They've got 4 each tonight. And they edge ever closer to an unbelievable victory, the Lions. Travis Johnston's been good. Ball knocked down towards Sherman.
Nothing wrong with his second half either.
Toward half forward, Pettigrew, content to see it out.
Just going back to Travis Johnson, though, he pinpointed a couple of his disposals, Jason, but that says it all. Kane Corns has been shifted onto him, and when you get the recognition of Port Adelaide's coach, you know that you've had an impact.
Corey through traffic. Jonathan Brown under it again, and he's marked it.
Ah, you freak. You freak.
He grabbed it with one arm.
Yep. You could see the despair on the face of Alapati Carlisle. He thought, what else can I do? I've got position, I've got his arm. He just pushed me out of the way and took it in the conditions. That could be the match-winning mark.
That's it now.
That's sheer strength.
And Carlisle's no frail man.
No.
Jonathan Brown for goal number 5.
2 metres.
They came from 47 points down, the Brisbane Lions. And he can't land the knockout blow.
That is a horrid kick off the boot. A horrid kick.
Thanks, Daniel.
And that probably, if he kicks that,
Right there now.
I think the task is too big for Port Adelaide.
over.
There's still a chance.
Big long launch straight down the middle. Chad Corns the go-to man. Leuenberger with the spoil. A disciplined spoil it was. Chad Corns again can't break free. Brennan ties him up.
It's been a great performance by Leuenberger.
I was about to say you can see why the Raps are so big on him, because he's so inexperienced, only played a handful of games, but he makes so many good decisions.
And he just has continued to give a contest. Hasn't won all the time, but he's just continued to have a presence.
And that was his palm down again. Just keep the ball in the area. And we'll get another ball up here. Still eligible for the NAB Rising Star Award this year, Matthew Leuenberger. Pick 4, the 2006 draft.
He's taken the front position too, which has tended to nullify big man's strength.
Sherman's kick. Rolls off the deck. Power straight up in the air. Not 15. Brown dives in. Can't take the mark. Wouldn't have been paid regardless. But he wanted it. Ball in.
Peter Burgoyne's gone to full forward. He's the only man in the forward half, in fact, for Port Adelaide.
Trouble is the ball's just not getting down there.
Won't go near it.
3.5 minutes from an historic victory of the Lions. Chad Corns, Thurston's surgeon. Thumps it long in hope. Lions players fly, both spoil each other. Handball not good, misses Pearce. Torpedo off the boot from him. Treadray down there, Peter Burgoyne as well. Peter Burgoyne almost inside the line, can't keep it alive. 117 to 103, a 10-goal turnaround. Lade and Leuenberger, the old and the new. Burgoyne, handball. Brennan steals it. Corey, power. Bouncing ball towards Bradshaw and Brown. They're both there. They're both hungry. Bradshaw perhaps. The knockout blow. They're down. They're dead.
I'll tell you right now, as good a first half as David Roden played, and as good as anyone has been tonight, the man that's the best on the ground for the pure and simple fact that he's had the biggest impact on this game is Daniel Bradshaw. It's come down in the air, it's come down on the ground. He's managed to get himself in the right position. He's kicked 3 in this quarter. He's set another one up. He has done it all. He is the recruit of the year after missing with a knee injury last year. Unbelievable performance.
5 goals to Daniel Bradshaw. A 67-point turnaround, and Port Adelaide will start 2008 0-4.
Fans are starting to leave, and Bradshaw has a new opponent in Chaplin.
Well, Port Adelaide's players just have to own this result. They just didn't put Brisbane away. They had plenty of opportunities. They allowed themselves to get comfortable. The work rate dropped off. And they've just been mown over by a side that continued to persevere despite playing poorly for 2.5 quarters. And it turned for them.
A lot of it happened on ball as well. They're 19-9 up in the clearances this quarter.
Yep.
Peter Burgoyne, manhandled, no free. That's a throw.
Yep.
It's a twofold story, Jared. It's what's wrong with Port Adelaide when you had a game in the keeping, you're 0-4 all of a sudden. Is your season over? Is it a season-defining win for the Brisbane Lions?
Straight down the middle to Justin Sherman. They're reveling in this now. Hooper, he sends it in the Bradshaw direction. Some icing on the cake perhaps coming up. Got rid of it just in time, was tackled, didn't have it.
There's only one side running now, though. Port Adelaide, they may not have been able to put them away because they were so tired on the back of last week that not enough people continued to persevere for long enough.
And perhaps the effort of the first half took its toll.
Begley knocked it away from Ebert. Kane Corns shoots it out to Burgoyne, rolls it around the body. Pearce from the pocket, tough kick. Motlop's down there, but it's through for a behind.
Yep, we can't believe it either.
It's a very sullen look, isn't it?
Believe it.
47 points in front when Jacob Surgeon kicked the goal 22 minutes into the third term. And since then, it's been all the Brisbane Lions. From the kick-in. They will rejoice in this. Lappin around the body towards the wing. Powers there. Surgeon thumps it out of play. 1 minute 10. 123 to 104.
Even listening to Justin Leppich at three-quarter time, I thought there was almost an air of acceptance that
It's beyond us.
It was beyond them.
Leuenberger. Spectacular in the ruck, knocks it down, but to Pettigrew. Kicks it to half-forward Treadray. Merritt's done a pretty good job on Warren Treadray. Rolls it inside 50. Peter Burgoyne. Patfull. Peter Burgoyne. Pearce towards Motlop. Tries to manufacture something out of the ordinary. Toward the line, and Riscatelli keeps it alive. Adcock can run all the way here. Touch it on the deck and go. McDonald peels off for him. They are 30 seconds from one of their greatest ever victories, especially here at Amy, to bounce it toward Jonathan Brown. Plenty of options. Bradshaw probably the best of them. Looks up unselfishly to Travis Johnston. He keeps it in. Black can have the shot. Oh, Bradshaw. His hands are strong again. And he can finish this off with a beautiful cherry on top.
The last year, when Brisbane were 10-1 to beat the West Coast, and they got up. Lee Matthews went to the boundary line. I'm not sure he's down there today, but this is a very similar victory.
I hope he kicks it. He deserves 6, Daniel Bradshaw. He's been... We've run out of superlatives.
Jonathan Brown's kicked 4. Daniel Bradshaw has kicked 5 goals for. It hits the post.
Fair enough.
There are wins, and then there are wins. And this victory by the Brisbane Lions, coming from 47 points down, has been one of the greatest victories of all time for the Brisbane Lions. Short history that they've had in this competition. Unbelievable. They have risen from the grave. 18-16, 124 to 16-8, 104 in deathly silence at Amy Stadium.
Well, I dare say there'll be a major inquest at Port Adelaide when they go over this game and think, how do you have such a handle on something only to lose it? And not just get beaten, but to get beaten by 20 points running away.
Yeah. Well, they stopped. Simple as that. I think they thought they'd done enough, and too many people just stopped running.